This episode of RadCast Outdoors is brought to you by PK Lures, Bow Spider, and High Mountain Seasonings.
Fish on! Hey, RadCast is on.
Hunting, fishing, and everything in between. This is RadCast Outdoors. Here are David Merrill and Patrick Edwards.
Well, hello and welcome, everybody. I'm David Merrill, and we're in the Bow Spider studio. You'll have to excuse Patrick Edwards. He's not with us today. We sorely miss you, Patrick. He's out and about enjoying the outdoors. So we'll get right into it, guys. I have Randy and Candy Yow here in the studio. Hello and welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So what brought you all the way to the studio today?
Well, a guy named David Merrill. No, we live in Oregon. I would apologize for that right now. And
we won't hold it against you too much.
Perfect. But been there my whole life, actually. So it was a great state at one time, but things are starting to slip a little, in my opinion, right?
We're all entitled to opinions.
Exactly. But no, we drew the general elk tags here in Wyoming, and we also had a couple of antelope tags that we had decided means we're going to be here anyway. We'll put in for antelope, got them, burned our points, and so we did the elk hunt, and then we went and shot a couple of goats and had a great time.
Well, I got to take a sneak peek at an elk and a couple antelope, and you got some fine representatives for this state.
Oh, we have fun, so just love to get out there.
Absolutely.
So if listeners don't know, we've had Randy and Candy on before and talked about kind of what got you guys into the outdoors and what you're doing now. Let's get an update on what's new.
What's new? Not a whole lot new. We're homeless people now. We've sold our house and going to be building this spring probably, but
when lumber prices come down a little bit.
Yeah,
exactly.
hopefully. Other than that, no, still hunting and all we can, as much as we can. We got more hunts coming up this fall, so.
Well, I seen a couple ladies hunting camps went off this year.
Absolutely, and they were fantastic this year. So we were totally full, and we're looking at maybe 4 more next year, including a kids hunting camp.
Perfect. So where are those being hosted at the moment if people want to try and get in?
Yeah, so currently we don't have it completely set, but we're looking at the second or third weekend in March in Wickenburg, Arizona, just because we have no more time available in the summer. And then we will probably do a long-range advanced rifle camp somewhere in June. And then in July we'll have a youth hunting camp for both boys and girls. Some of the boys are feeling a little left out. And then we'll have our regular ladies hunting camp, and that's going to be in Fort Rock, Oregon.
And the long range is going to be in Sheridan, Wyoming with the Weatherbees.
That's correct.
Awesome. Well, we're glad that Weatherbee's here in Wyoming because they're very welcome in our state.
So. Yes.
And we're glad Great you guys people. Are putting those camps together. And, you know, that's kind of the mission of this podcast is hunting and fishing and everything in between and getting families and youth and women and even just older guys in the outdoors. And so seeing other people that are trying to promote that mission is really neat to, you know, I follow along a little bit on your guys' social as far as ladies hunting camp. And it seems that it's almost a cult following, you know, once those women come and join this brotherhood, so to speak, right? They get welcomed into the fold. It's neat to see.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It empowers them. I mean, it's just cool for us to see the success stories or just the hunting stories. Even if it's not successful, it's a success to them because they've never done it. So many of them have never even done it at all, you know, and others have, but they all come together and they make great friendships that they can last for a lifetime. And
you know what it's like the 1st of September or even into August, some of the antelope hunts, and you can't, like, that's when you want to get on social media to see everybody's success. And that's so cool because it empowers you to go out and try to get the biggest buck or the biggest bull or whatever. Just get you motivated. What really gets me going is to watch those women who have never had success. And when they do, I mean, there was probably 5 or 6 ladies that have attended in the last 2 years that got their first animal this year. And to watch that is really cool.
And I want to bring up, I mean, that is awesome. But my thought while you were talking about that is, you know, Randy and I come from the outfitter world, right? And we've been in that, and it's all about getting the big 6-point and one-upmanship. And that's kind of the old guard a little bit, you know, a little bit newer hunters coming in. It's about the protein. It's about the meat. And that's not to say that in the old days we weren't about the meat, right? But I've noticed a trend of a guy pulls into a gas station and there's a spike in the back of his car or a doe or whatever it happens to be. And you hear people say, well, shouldn't you let that one grow a year, or that one's got milk on the lip? They're trophy shaming. They're putting somebody down for harvesting that animal. It's not right, because maybe you don't know that I mentored a kid and took him on his first hunt and he got his first animal. Exactly. And so now his first memory is, I did something wrong. Now, there is a tiny little bit of room for trophy shaming. If your neighbor every year is shooting a forked horn deer, you know, in the backyard, you could kind of say, hey, if we let that deer mature a little bit, he's going to put on, you know, a couple 50 extra pounds. He's going to be better at adding to the gene pool. There's a whole bunch of positive things for doing that, and we won't get into that. But, you know, if your neighbor's the guy that every year goes out and he's shooting a spike elk for 12 years in a row, it's like, hey, let's try and one up the level here. But whether it's a youth or a lady or a woman or even an old guy, his first hunt, you know, if you pull into the gas station and he's proud of it, that's not the time or place to tell him something.
Absolutely.
No,
Absolutely.
I've killed some great bulls and bucks and so on and so forth, but my funnest hunts is when I'm not trophy hunting. I just enjoy it so much better. Like, I call in a bull and I shot this season just now. I just shot a nice 5-point and I was happy as a lark. It's like last year I trophy hunted and I had a great tag in Utah. Passed up tons of nice bulls and I never did fill my tag. I had my opportunities, tons of opportunities, but I kept looking for that. I just was looking for that giant, and it was fun. But sometimes you get caught up in that, it's, you know, the score and the size and so on. To me, it's I don't know. Sometimes it's fun to go buy an over-the-counter tag in some state, and you don't expect to shoot nothing but a raghorn or a 5-pointer or whatever, and just go have a great time.
And that's unit specific, and that gets down to having that knowledge and background. And like you said, you drew a limited entry Utah tag and went with an expectation. Exactly. If you had that same expectation on an over-counter Oregon tag, you're going to be sorely disappointed every year.
Yeah, really. yeah.
But even here in Wyoming, there you can go 100 miles one way to another with a different unit, and you're going to go from, you know, 400 potential inch bulls to, you know, if you see a branch antler bull, that's your trophy. So, right. You know, and that's kind of why I started bow hunting, is a doe or a cow is a trophy with a bow.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's fun. Yep.
But it's more fun because with that bow, you have to get to rifle distance where you're lethal with that rifle, and then figure out how to get 10 times closer, right? You get into that 200-300 yards, and from 200-300 yards to 20-30 yards, a lot could go wrong, and does.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, we're right here in the height of elk season, so tell us a little bit about your bull elk hunt that you just harvested.
Well, it's like I said, general season tag, and we pick a spot and start doing my homework, and went up there. We found a beautiful place to camp right near the creek, so we had tons of water and
a beaver pond. It was so exciting.
Yeah.
Sometimes for me, the camp atmosphere can be almost even better than the actual hunt.
Yeah. So yeah, we hunted a few days, and I think it was day 4. I called in a bull. The first day we called in a bull that came in.
Right. Yeah.
The Candy. They're pretty close, but he ended up.
He was 75 yards, and I'm just not quite capable of shooting that far. So I tried to seal the distance, and that didn't work so well.
We've talked about that. I actually, back in, you know, even now, guiding women can be much more rewarding because they really don't want to. The ego's gone, right? And they don't want to push that envelope. If there's a huge bull standing at 82 yards and they're capable at 50, they go, I'm I'm not trying it.
Right.
And sometimes it's almost maddening, especially if you're guiding rifle hunting and here's this, monster 200-inch muley at beyond their range, and you're like, but come on, So, but I kudos that we do need to be responsible and ethical in our distance, and everybody's lethal range is different.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah. So we back up. And I put her on a wallow, found a real nice wallow there. It looked like it had been getting hit. So she decided to sit there, and I went off and ended up eagling up on the ridge, and ended up calling 3 of them down to me. And the biggest one, which was the 5-point, the others were just raghorns, but came right down there and got to 30 yards, and I just couldn't take it no more. So I shot him.
Couldn't take it no more.
And then the crazy wife over here, she decides she's going to, she's got to pack a quarter of an elk out. And she's, not really designed to do that. A lot of ladies are not. And she's not anyway, she just overdid herself and ended up taking a face plant going down a steep hill. It was a couple miles out and hurt her back really bad. So she's been hobbling. So we hobbled her back up there the next day and going to go get another load of meat. And I called it a bull into her at 20 yards and because she's all bruised up and don't work. She can't get her bow back. He's at 20 yards and he finally catches her movement when she does whatever she does to get it back. Let you finish that one.
Yeah. So he was at 20. So when I sat at the wallow the day that Randy shot his bull, I'd ranged every tree and had everything in my mind exactly if something came in, because the adrenaline sometimes won't let you range. And so when I couldn't get my bow back, I have a torn rotator I never got operated on, years ago. So if I tweak it, I can't get it back. And we didn't take the crossbow, which is legal in Wyoming, because it's kind of a relic to carry around. But anyway, so when he saw the movement, he ran to the second tree, which I had ranged at 30, but it was actually 32, and he was at the brush pile behind that. And so I shot 30, and when we actually ranged it from where he was standing, it was 40. So I missed him, but
just great hair under his chest.
And it was just a little raghorn, but you know what? I would have been happy with that, especially in my predicament. So when I fell, I was going over a down tree and had a quarter of an elk on and had the momentum going and caught that edge and just face planted, and that meat hit me. It was like, ooh.
So she's still hobbling.
I am.
Bad. And so we went antelope hunting after that and got a couple of decent antelope. Even then, she's having a hard time.
I'm having a
I'm
really
going to have to
hard
get her
time.
home, maybe take her to a doctor. I'm not sure.
A lesser person would have just called the trip and gone home. So
Oh,
kudos to you for-
no. I think the day after that I heard it, I think we put in 7 miles, and I think our antelope hunts haven't been that much because we're trying to find them, but we're still putting in 3 and 4. I think our slowest day was a 4-mile hike. So, but the hiking is good for you. It's the sitting in the bumpy trucks and the turning and twisting and loads. So I'll be fine.
Well, what got you, I know Randy's story, and we've hunted together before, and we touched on this a little bit last time, but what got you into the outdoors?
Oh my goodness. Well, I think just life in general. I grew up on huge ranches. And so, basically I cowboyed for a living most of my life. But hunting season was huge. Like the 2 biggest times of the year were branding season, when everybody came and helped you brand, and it was kind of a big party. And the next one was hunting season. And until I started hunting, my job was to get on my horse bareback because we didn't have saddles and ride miles and miles, 20, 30 miles a day to find the bucks. And I thought it was a hoot. And to run the poachers off, the people, because it was private ground, to run them off. And so that was my sister's nice job. And you just, basically, that's what you lived on. You got 1 beef a year and whatever else you harvested. So he was all about, that's what he did all the time. And I was like, cool, I can do that. And we've just had a blast. We've had so many adventures. It's not funny.
It's neat to see. And again, you guys have shot some really nice antelope and obviously had fun chasing elk. You got plenty of protein to take back home. Oh, yeah. And so this gets me to, I'm going to ask each one of you, what's your favorite recipe to cook from something you've gone out and procured? If you're going to cook for somebody coming over, what's something you really enjoy cooking and preparing, and how do you cook it?
Well, that's pretty easy. I don't think it matters what animal, whether it's elk, deer, antelope. We cut our steaks basically as you would a tri-tip, so it's more of a roast. We like them fairly rare, and we season them with mountain seasoning. High mountain seasonings. And my new trick is, I am so in love with, have you ever tried the Hatch green chilies? Oh, they're amazing. So you just layer that on top too, and flip them once, cut them, and I mean, it is amazing. So that's my favorite. Now, I love cooking on the Traeger. In fact, now that we are homeless and just live in our trailer, that's the only way I cook, because it's too hot to cook inside. And so everything's on the Traeger, and everything's with the seasonings and the chilies. I mean, I make cookies, pizza, whatever you want to say, on the Traeger. And that's
you basically
just
treat it like an oven, and
exactly.
It just goes
I love it. It's all outside. You don't have to worry about the mess. And so that's amazing. And I'm not sure what your favorite recipe is, but if we have company coming, recipe. That's fine.
Well, that's all right. You guys can share a favorite recipe.
Well, she does lots of, she can take a bunch of nothing and chop it into a million pieces and make stir fries and different things. It's amazing is how good it is. But yeah, the Traeger, like I say, that's my go-to. That's the guy's thing, so, but she's be taking like Traeger over kind of.
So I'm going to ask you both the same question. You can answer it individually. Is you've taken obviously a lot of varied people hunting, Randy, and what's a couple things that, you've just some similarities as far as being successful in the field that you've seen that would help either other mentors or other people wanting to get into this sport, just to be successful? Just
I would say
hunting in general.
Confidence. Yeah. Confidence is everything. If you don't have confidence in, don't matter what you're hunting, fish, I don't care what it is. If you don't have confidence, you're probably not going to be successful. If you don't believe you can do it, probably won't. And I just see that at the ladies camp stuff. I preach that to the girls. It's like, get confidence in your bow, get confidence in your rifle, get confidence in your muzzleloader. I don't care what you're shooting.
And that comes with practice.
It comes with practice. It comes with getting knowledge, but believe you can do it. Even if you have little knowledge and stuff, you're going to gain it, and you're going to go out there and you're going to make mistakes. But even if you make a mistake, brush it off and go again. For guys, it seems pretty easy. I mean, I know you do the same thing. You blow it on a bull, like, let's do that again. I've done it a million times.
I kick my butt every time.
And away I go.
So one thing I do is I count the next 10 steps, and I'm saying this is my next 10 steps to my next bull. I just have to, when I walk away,
here we go,
counting 10, and then I'm on to the next one. And it burns. I mean, you put all that work and time and energy, and so
things go wrong with, I think that, especially for the ladies, I think it's a little harder for them to, in their mind, to just brush it off. I think, but so confidence is in whatever you're doing in all of your life. You've got to have confidence in what you're doing.
No, I mean, we don't learn if we're successful. That's all my biggest learning moments have been when I've been unsuccessful.
Grew up, yeah.
Whether in business or life or as a parent or as an elk hunter, it's nice to be successful, but the teaching moments are when that bull, barks and runs the other way because you went the wrong way up a ridge when the wind was blowing the wrong way. When you knew, you checked it and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna, I'll push the edge, it'll be all right. So how about you, Candy? What have you seen coming into this that other people could benefit? Just some tips and tricks.
So I think right now, and obviously with the ladies hunting camp, I'm working with a lot of people that don't know how to hunt, that are wanting to learn, that are
didn't grow up on ranches, didn't grow up with horses.
Exactly.
Maybe not urban, but definitely not.
Some of them are urban. Actually, our first camp, we had a lady who had, and she totally hated guns. She wouldn't eat meat. And she was a single mom with a 7-year-old boy, and his goal in life was to become a hunter. And so she came to ladies hunting camp and learned to hunt, and it totally changed her life. She got a New Mexico bull and I believe a buck the first year, and was able to take her little boy on the hunt with her. And it totally changed her life. And so I think education, I think education and the ability to have someone that inspires you and keeps you going out there and motivates you, because it's not easy. We all know that. I mean, obviously this trip kicked my hiney, but we had a ton of fun and we saw a lot of really cool stuff, and you just got to keep them going. And I think that goes back to what I said about, like, I'm not huge in social media because I'm kind of old and really suck at it, but I love watching success. I love watching it and inspiring them and saying, you know, I think I wrote this week, "You made my heart so happy," probably 25 times. And we didn't even have service. So those are people who have never had success before, and now they have it. And now I think they can continue to go.
That self-reliance piece is, once you can, you know, and it is a little intimidating to go from how do I even procure meat to then preparing it, right? There's a couple steps in there that's like, you know,
how to take care of it. I mean,
but it's knowledge, it's experience, and you know, okay, you cut your first deer up a little wrong. It's not ruined.
No,
you have smaller stakes.
Exactly.
I had my 9-year-old, and we hunt grizzly country, and he came up to camp just for an afternoon, dropped off some supplies, and he said, "Dad, I want to stay and hunt elk with you, right?" And I haven't really pushed him into hunting, and this new generation, they're really into video games and computers, and for him to be like, and I felt bad because I told him no, and I said, you kind of sprung it on me, buddy, that now he's going to come up and spend a night this weekend, and we're going to tootle around on the 4-wheeler and stay out of Grizz country. You know, it's got me thinking, you know, if he wants to go next year, we're just going to move camp away from grizzly country so that he can go. And, you know, if people want to yell at me one way or the other, we've had 4 grizzly encounters this year already, and I don't want to try and be responsible for a 9-year-old while trying to watch where the grizzlies are. So.
Yeah,
that's why we hunted out of the grizzly country, because Candy, last time we were up here, she's just got tired of fighting with the grizzlies, so she's said no more grizzly country for me, and so.
And we can go for hours on the ESA and the abuse and what's going on with grizzlies. And we have previous podcasts. So if you guys are interested in that, you can go listen to one of the previous ones. We won't get into that. But just, you know, the cliff notes is there is a night and day difference hunting elk country that has grizzlies versus hunting elk country that doesn't have
Absolutely.
grizzlies.
Exactly.
I will agree with that. I'll work harder.
But I mean, even we've talked a little bit about antelope and mule deer, and it's one thing that came to my mind is, as a hunter, I get to see the sun come up almost every day. You know, once in a while I take a camp day and like to sleep in, but you know, getting to be in these high alpine meadows or by a lake or up on a ridge when the sun comes up and illuminates, you know, it just, you don't get that playing a video game. You don't get that. You don't even get that at home, inner city or rural. If you're playing at the park or changing irrigation, you just don't get that same awe-inspiring. It makes you feel small.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I can think of a million different places I've been. It's like, it's just so cool. You can't explain it unless you've been there and seen it. You know, it's just hard to explain to people what's out there.
I mean, hearkening all the way back to the first hunt you and I went on. I mean, I got invited up to your guys' mule deer camp after meeting a bunch of the Lapine crew, and we had a good hunt that year. We killed some awesome bucks, but we had a bunch of wives and kids in camp. I mean, I don't remember how many people we had, but I think we killed 12 bucks, right, in a week-long camp.
Yeah, we have, you know, our deer camp is there in Oregon is a family deal, pretty much. In fact, we go, it opens October 2nd, so we're going to get home. We'll be home a week and then turn around, and she has a deer tag I didn't draw this year. And then a bunch of the kids have tags. And so it's going to be kind of a mentor taking the kids hunting, and Candy's going. And then I think her brother's got a tag, and another lady from Ladies Hunting Camp we're taking that drew the tag. So she's never killed anything. So we'll see how that goes.
Those are the best hunts in my mind, to watch the kids, or like this lady who's never harvested an animal, to watch them and be with them when that happens. Like, we've got 9 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild now, and to watch that is really amazing.
And that harkens back to, it's a heritage that we're passing on and passing down, right? And right. I know that's overused in this industry and well played out, but it's well played out for a reason, right?
That's right.
And yeah, Randy and I are kind of lucky that our dads kind of brought us up in this, right? But, now we have the opportunity to, whether it's grandkids or neighbors or single moms or friends,
last couple of years, we've taken several people on different hunts, like a friend of ours, Peggy, and she's had double hip replacement and she can't get around good, but she drew this incredible tag and in Utah, late season hunt, and I had them put in for it, and she drew it by accident with virtually no points. Took her back. She shot a great.
It was so cool.
Almost killed her, but she's like,
so cool.
What are we going to do? It's down in this hellhole. I'm like, you're going. She goes, I can't get down there. She goes, I said, I will pack you out. I mean, you're going down there. We're going to get pictures.
There's a bull. You're going down.
So she did it, and it was great. I mean, she got a great bull, and we helped another friend harvest a great bull with his bow, and then
mentored our grandson last year, and then Randy's youngest daughter Shasta hadn't been hunting in years because she's been mentoring all of her children for all these years, and she got down there right at daylight and shot a beautiful buck, and then 15 minutes later her son got one, that I mentored. So that stuff, that means more to me than me harvesting an animal. It really does.
There's that natural progression with every hunter, and I've seen it. We can talk about either bear hunters or whatever, that it starts with, if we just use, we'll just use deer hunters as an example, right? It starts with, I just want to get a deer.
Exactly.
And Patrick and I have talked about it. Fishers are the same way. Then it's, I want to get a lot of deer. Then I want to get a big deer. Mm-hmm. But you get on the back side of that where I just either want to see deer or take somebody and experience it through their eyes for the first time. Because once you've got the deer, the first one, and then once you've got lots of deer, and then once you've got the big deer, it's like, no, now I just want to go hunting and watch the sunrise. And yes, my trophy level status of hunting, the barometer of that is the freezer level. If the freezer's relatively full, I'm going to pass the cow or because like my archery elk tags any elk, right?
Exactly.
But if the freezer's empty,
it's the meat. Yeah, exactly.
That meat is, it really is, primary number one. We'll be having dinner here in a little bit, and I'm sure High Mountain Seasoning will be involved in one way or another.
Perfect.
I know I've had people kill some big bulls. I mean, I shot a 420 bull one time, and people go, well, how are you ever going to beat that? I don't really care if I beat that. And I don't even think about trying to shoot another one.
How are you going to beat that?
And nor do I care.
It always got to be a competition.
Nor do I care, exactly. I don't hunt as a competition at all. In fact, when people, I'm going to make a bet, let's do these bets. Like, I'm not betting on hunting. I go hunting to have fun, and I'm just not into it. Like
the challenge. It's just you and God and the animal, and it's just the challenge of it. And like the buck that I shot today, when we'd seen a couple pretty good ones, not a lot, but a couple pretty good ones. And I don't know, just something about the way that he handled his herd and kept the other bucks off and everything else. I just connected with him, and it was time.
But yeah, the antelope hunt was a great time. It's one thing Wyoming has is a ton of them things.
Ton of antelope. We saw a lot of antelope, and we had a great time.
So it's neat to see the progression, right, from beginner, little kid going with grandpa or going with moms, going to ladies hunting camp just to learn. And this isn't a hobby. We've talked about that before. This is a lifestyle. I am an elk hunter. I'm a father. I'm a husband, right? Those are not mutually exclusive, I guess. You can't pull one piece of me out and say, oh, we're going to get rid of the other two. It's not who I am. And I know it's not who Randy is, right? And once you get into this brotherhood, for lack of a better word, you don't have to be a guy. It's a group of, what can I do to help you?
And that's the nice thing with ladies, especially at the ladies camp stuff. They are not afraid to ask questions. Where guys have a tendency to not want to ask a question. Most guys, anyway. We have this image or whatever it is. I got to appear
to know it all.
Yeah, and so that's what I love about it. The ladies they just ask anything. It's like, cool. That's the way it should be. And I wish the guys could do that because it would help them in the long run, but I'm as bad as anybody, I'm sure.
Oh, if you could have talked to me 15 years ago into hunting the way I do now, then do you know how much more successful I would have been? Because I used to just go running across the woods. I mean, and you couldn't have told me any different because I knew it all.
Yeah. Yeah. You never stop learning. You know, if you stop learning, you might as well quit, because
I've said that several times. You know, as an elk hunter, the elk always have something to teach you. Now, whether you learn it or not is up to you.
Right.
That's right.
No, it's, I can tell everybody there's so many good elk callers out there nowadays. I mean, we have some great calls and different things and incredible callers, but there's not a lot of good elk killers. I mean, you got to know when to do what at the right times. It's just how it works, And
still got to play the wind, still got to know the terrain, and
you got to know what to say and when. And you just got to, and you can only learn that from screwing up.
Oh, I screwed up more this week that I care to admit, but we had lots of bulls screaming, lots of opportunity, and
that's good.
We're gonna get back in the woods and get at it here shortly. But I'm glad that we're here checking all this out. I want to talk about one of our sponsors real quick. Talking about the fisherman or the hunter that just wants to get more and more and more. We'll segue into PK Lures, which is one of our sponsors, and they're a little startup Wyoming lure company here that's now grown quite big, and they sponsor us, and we're appreciative of it.
Cool.
But if you're the fisherman that wants to get your first fish, or a lot of fish, or a big fish, or wants to help somebody get a fish, PK Lure has a lure for you. So check them out at pklure.com. And I'll back into just the hunting theme and the family theme and the atmosphere. That's kind of how you guys, I see, play off each other, right? It's the old soldier here that's done it, and then Candy that's come in, but come from your ranching, farming background, that's what you just had deer. That was just the way it is. But to see you guys bring in these people who, and reach out to people who don't have the knowledge and experience, but are willing to learn is neat to see these camps starting to really, because people are craving this knowledge, right?
Right.
And once they come either to a camp like that, or, you mentioned it, we've got all this info now. When I first started, North American Hunter put out a book called Elk Talk. We didn't have anything on it. There wasn't even YouTube when I started, right?
Right.
And I'm significantly shorter in the tooth than you are, right? So not trying to pick on you, but
that's all right.
But even if I can remember back to, we just had to kind of figure this out.
When I first started, elk hunting and talking to elk, I made bugles out of these little whistle tube things. I could slide them up and down and make this sound. It sounds kind of like an elk, and there was no such thing as elk calls. Nobody had an elk call. We just made our own little things, and it worked. It certainly got a lot better.
It's gotten to be big business now, and it's getting a little I don't know, clicky as far as, do you drive a Ford or a Dodge? Well, I don't hang out with guys that drive Dodges. You get out of our camp, it's like, I'm pretty sure I can take I actually have a antelope horn elk call, and it's killed a couple nice bulls. It's just a solid reed cut out of a tip of an antelope horn. My father-in-law had a custom call maker make it for me, but you don't have to get fancy and get the brand name this or whatever. You can start out pretty simple.
Oh yeah.
A couple cow calls in the right meadow is all you need, or even then, sitting on the right wallow, just sitting patiently.
Oh yeah, there's lots of ways to harvest them, that's for sure. You got multiple options, and see what works for you.
There's definitely, whether you're chasing any one of these species, there's a little bit of prep and thought that goes into a hunt, right? And can you break me down into, kind of your different prep of, let's say, an antelope hunt and an elk hunt? You've got the pounds of protein on the ground difference, but you also have the terrain difference. So, Candy, if you want to give me what you'd set up for an antelope hunt, and then Randy, you can give me what you'd set up for an elk hunt and some of the things to think about before you leave the house.
Sure. So the antelope hunt was obviously more desert terrain, and not near as steep, still lots of miles. I think the biggest thing on the antelope hunt is you got to find the animals. We do on all of them, but you're going to have to cover some miles. What we found was that most of the water holes that showed on the Onyx maps didn't have water this year. And so you're going to have to really travel and do your research and
Yeah, we were sitting at a like 50% snowpack halfway through the year, so it was a dry year. But you did mention onyx, and that's a tip. If you're new to this, just write that down right now, and go look on the internet what onyx is. But
and you should always have your onyx on, always. So, and I'm not as good as he is. He has his on all the time, and it's perfect because it can tell you where public land is. It can tell you where private land is. It can tell you the terrain.
Tell you if you're in the right unit.
Exactly. Well, hopefully you don't do that one. But so, yeah, I think that was the biggest difference there is mostly the terrain, and it's just a different style. You're going to have to put some miles on, whether it's in your buggy, whether it's on foot, whether it's in the truck, to locate the animals, and then you're going to have to put the antelope were beginning to get in the rut. And so it was a little chaotic at times when you had 3 or 4 bucks fighting over a herd. It was kind of fun to watch.
It's hard to get a shot when they won't hold still. Very
hard, yeah. So
look like cutting horses.
Yeah, that's what I kept saying was, wow, that buck is like a really good cutting horse. So I would say that was the biggest difference.
But yeah, as far as prepping for it, I mean, just obviously they're not as big and heavy as an elk, and so it's not that hard to pack them out of there. Back in there, once again, we bone or put our stuff out there in the woods normally. These were close enough that we could get a vehicle within 400 or 500 yards, and so I just packed them out whole and cleaned them up back at camp. So depends on where you're at. Elk, I just rarely have that opportunity.
Never. I don't think I've ever seen that.
But for elk, I mean, and once again, it don't matter if you're antelope hunting or elk hunting or whatever, you need to practice with whatever you're going to be using. It's a rifle or bow or whatever type of firearm.
Back to that confidence piece.
I mean, you got to know that your stuff is working properly.
What are your limitations, and don't go beyond them.
Yeah, so learn your stuff, obviously, if you're going to be in elk country, if you want to be more successful, you're going to have to get in some sort of shape. I mean, it's just not easy. Where we were hunting, it's just straight up and straight down. There just was no option besides that.
Yeah, I mean,
so we'd leave in the bottom
ranch. If you're hunting public land, which is where the elk live, I mean, you got to go where the elk live, and it's not
all
easy.
Straight up, straight down, but most of it is. I mean, it's all, elk hunting it's not easy normally. And once you get this big critter down, you need to be prepared to take care of it. You better learn how to, debone an elk or to quarter it up, and, how to put it on your back and carry a quarter at a time. You need to keep the meat cool while it's out there in the woods until you get it back to camp where you keep it cool again. And I mean, just take care of your stuff. I mean, it's real important. You go spend all your time and effort, and that meat is incredible. So don't waste it. I'm really big on that. I like to get every bit out of it I can and pick the bones apart, and I take all the good meat on there is, that's for sure.
Well, I thank you guys for, giving some listeners some places to at least start getting some knowledge, right? YouTube, how to cut up an elk, and YouTube, or, just there's forums, or ask questions. What game bags do you use? What knife do you use? These are basic questions that, you and I, we all just
take for granted sometimes.
And throwing my hunting bag back together and putting this in, and I go, well, I need my knife and my game bags, and I need a little paracord, and I need X and Y and Z, and away I go. And well, why? And you do need to justify, why are you carrying all this stuff? Why do I have Onyx on my phone? Why do I have all 50 states on it? Because, well, I'm going to be hunting whitetail in one state, and I went and hunted mule deer in a different, and last year I was hunting dull sheep in Alaska, and, by the time you get there, it's that Onyx is... how did we hunt without it before?
It sure makes it nice. I mean, we did it, and I still live by my maps. I still have paper maps, topo maps in my pockets, because I can have a bigger picture of it, and then I can go to my Onyx, and so I work between them. I always have a little map in my pocket.
And I started with the map and compass, but I've quickly transitioned to I don't pack the GPS anymore. I don't pack paper maps.
I pack my paper maps, but I don't. Yeah, my GPS is my phone, but on airplane mode and go.
Yeah, it's I put way too many pins. Don't go stealing my Onyx maps and look at where my spots are, guys.
Yeah, right.
But it has opened up, back in the day, you used to have to study a map to find, access to maybe little square miles of state ground. And now it's big blaring outlined on Onyx says go here. And it's a little bit, when I'm finding people in spots that you just didn't find people in before, because it used to take hours of research of a map to go, hey, look, you can go from here to here. So
right. Cut across that. Yeah.
But that's, we spoke a little bit earlier about, this summer doing a little bit of bow spider work. I had a couple handicap people buy our product or get our product, and it was really neat to see, because I didn't start the company or product with them in mind. Not that it was unintentional or intentional. I just wanted something to carry my bow for me. I'm being a little selfish here. But it was really cool and really neat to see these, adaptive archers take on bow spider and be like, this really solves a problem that I have as a bow hunter when I'm,
you got to use their hands.
Got to use their hands for something else, whether it's a chair or hiking or walking. And now it's pretty cool. I mean, we've put them on tracked wheelchairs. We've put them on regular wheelchairs. We've put them on, guys missing limbs. We've put them on headrests of trucks. It's cool to see. And so we do got to plug, Bow Spiders. It's a little self-service. They are sponsoring our podcast. That's super cool. But we're going to keep doing some of that kind of stuff. And hopefully I don't have any ambitions of starting a bow spider hunting camp, but maybe we could help you guys with yours a little bit.
Oh, we'd love it. We'd love to have you come too.
It's kudos for doing it, because I know there's a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of late nights to get prepped and ready for, just from the outfitting side of, you got hunters coming to camp and all the things that have to get done before they come. Yeah. And they're paying thousands of dollars most cases to come hunt elk for a week. These ladies are not getting charged thousands of dollars to come to ladies camp for a week. So I know there's a lot of love and a lot of volunteer that goes behind it.
Oh yeah, it is. It's been great. Like I say, we got the 4 camps. There's going to be 2 camps that are just the regular camps were the basics, but then they'll have that advanced long-range rifle camp up with Weatherby's and Sheridan, and then the other one's youth and self-defense. You doing that or
no? This year we're just going to do the long-range rifle and advanced rifle. Last year we did self-defense. We did advanced pistol and then self-defense with a pistol with cert guns, and that was totally amazing.
Well, when you do archery, I'll volunteer to come help.
That would be awesome.
If somebody wanted to get a hold, or maybe donate or support, how do they? Who do they need to get a hold of, and how do they get a hold of them?
Yeah, so you can just the website is justladieshunting.com, and that's probably the easiest way to shoot me an email, and then I will contact you right back. That's probably the easiest. If I give you the email address, it probably won't go over. So just ladieshunting.com.
It's kind of, the name says it, ladies hunting camp. It's an all-inclusive how to pitch a tent, how to skin an animal, how to start a fire, how to, and these are things 200 years ago we didn't have to learn, because everybody lived in a tent, you know what I mean? At least out here. So
it's a fun time. Yeah. But like I say, check it out on the website, and if you want to get involved, send Candy a message for sure.
I'll tag them on social media.
Exactly. We're on Instagram and Facebook. So just Ladies Hunting Camp.
Perfect. Well, I'm got to make sure that we get the rest of it covered. And I think I want to thank you guys for coming. It's been exciting to have you here. We're going to have to go eat a little bit of, I'm sure it's something wild game. The wife's in there cooking with some High Mountain seasoning. So
perfect.
Hans with High Mountain seasoning has been really, really good with us. And, that's a long-standing company that has a great record, and they have some great products.
They do.
No, they do. When we're packing in hunting, and I'm not going to say that just because I'm sitting here with you, but I don't go buy any of the packaged stuff. I make it all myself, and all the seasoning I use is High Mountain seasoning.
Dehydrated.
From the meat to the tomatoes to the watermelon, whatever. We take it all in ourselves, and it's good and healthy.
And it's I mean, I'm not going to go through their whole lineup, but whether you're a fisher or a big game hunter or just a weekend barbecuer, I mean, they have something for everybody for every dish, and they're a good USA made company. So that's why, when Patrick and I started the podcast, I really didn't want to be commercializing it and just trying to get any and every sponsor. I was like, no, let's get sponsors that are, companies we want to work with, companies and products we believe in. So,
exactly.
And that's just, it's part of that whole atmosphere of.
Yeah, that's kind of what we've done with Ladies Camp too. We have quality people that work with us and the sponsorships and stuff. And it's been great, because we have Leupold and Weatherby and Benchmade Knife Company and Traeger Grills and, folks like the Onyx.
And they believe in what we're doing, what we do. One of the things that I always tell them is if they sponsor even on a lower level, if they have someone that works in their company that doesn't hunt, for instance, the first time that we asked Leupold to attend the camp, I said, just send someone if they don't know how to hunt. She goes, oh my gosh, I have this lady that just doesn't understand it, and it's really hard for her to understand why we make the products the way we do because she's never hunted. So I said, send her, free of charge, just send her. And boom, they were in, because now she's an avid hunter. And Weatherby did the same, and lots of them have done the same. Onyx did the same. They sent 3 ladies 3 years ago, I can't remember because COVID kind of messed that up. But
COVID messed a lot of things up. But the thing we kind of touched on this, but to really put it in perspective is hunting is a dying tradition. If we don't start passing it on, if we don't really show people, because we are the minority. If the majority tomorrow decided that we weren't going to do this anymore on this continent, it would be gone. But it's like we talked about. And we can go through the science and the data or the emotional lifestyle, but it all boils down to this activity is beyond. It's not a hobby. It's not a sport. It's a way of life.
it is.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so we definitely need to promote it and, preserve it and protect it. And I'm glad to see you guys are taking, a lifetime of experience and kind of just disseminating it into a consumable product in ladies hunting camp, right? That's what it is. And kind of passing the tradition on of why do we do this? You just touched on it. Well, somebody doesn't understand that why they're doing what they're doing and why these sportsmen are willing to spend hard-earned dollars on a good USA-made product. Well, I could tell you, this was told to me a long, long time ago by an old rancher in Eastern Oregon, and I showed up without any binoculars for my very first bow hunt. I was 14, Randy. I had a PSE Nova Junior with a single composite limbs and aircraft cable for strings, right? That's just the way they made them back then. Little tiny round wheel bow. And I didn't have any binoculars, and he told me, gruff old rancher, he said, if you're a rifle hunter without a pair of binoculars, you're half a hunter. If you're a bow hunter without a pair of binoculars, you're not really a hunter at all.
He just burst your bubble, right?
He burst my bubble. My bow had a max of, I think I had a 30-yard pin. Was my bottom pin. My top one was 10 and 20. And there was significant arc from when I shot to the bale at 30. And it didn't stick very far in the bale. And I don't think I had a whole lot of success. But those initial trips, bow hunting over there in Eastern Oregon for a week, just sleeping out in the stars and getting up and watching sunrises and seeing animals up close, I can't replace that. And I can't put it into words to describe how instrumental, impactful it was on a young man, right?
Right.
Because I was raised pretty urban. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Now, I'm not urban anymore, not even close. But
like you touched on there, as far as it's not even about the hunt. We have one little gal, and I've known her forever, Brooke Smith. She's amazing, and she came to ladies hunting camp. This first or second year, she worked for Les Schwab's and drove the trucks. And the very first year, she had to, I didn't even notice because I was so busy checking ladies in and getting them going. There was about 4 or 5 ladies that came that were pulling trailers and they didn't know how to back them up. So she taught them. And every year since then, she's come back and she teaches it how to back your trailer class. But she has hunted the same as I did, basically on a ranch, hasn't had a ton of success. And she started a blog the very first year that's called More Than a Hunt. I think that's the name of it. I hope I'm not messing that up. That lady is so amazing. She'd never shot archery, and she learned archery the first year at Ladies Hunting Camp. And the next year, what was the one she won? She won a national championship for the archery challenge, total archery challenge. I mean, she's an amazing woman. But in her blog, it talks about, you know, she went elk hunting for 2 weeks and she saw one elk and was not within range. But every day she talked about everything that she saw. The sunrise, you know, I think I have probably 5 million pictures of sunrises because they're awe-inspiring. They're gorgeous. And
I posted one on Bo Spider's Instagram this week because it was just, you can't, and the photos still doesn't do it justice.
Yeah, the photos never.
No, you can't. But it's the little things you see all day long, and her blog is amazing, so check it out. Brooke Smith, More Than a Hunt. But I think that's it. And I think that's why the women are going crazy. It's not just about the harvest. That's the ultimate goal.
That's the ultimate goal. And if you were to invite me camping and say we're going to go hike a peak and take a picture, I'm mildly intrigued. If it's off season and I'm caught up, sure. Right. But if you're going to invite me to camp, right, and stick a tag in my pocket, even if it's a unit that has almost no chance of success, I'll hike that same trail, camp in that same spot, hike to the same peak, take the same picture of whatever we were going to take, and then I'm going to stand there and look around and actually immerse myself in nature instead of turn back and go back to camp and we're done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a deeper level of connection with nature versus, hey, why don't you come camping for the week? It's hunting camp and camping are two different things. And it's not, you were just getting to the point of, it's not about the harvest.
Right.
Now at the core, it is. I mean, we all want the meat and we all want to, but I mean, my barometer again, how full is the freezer? I'm still going to go. I'm still going to have fun. If the freezer's empty, well, we better be working on filling it. If the freezer's full, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy that small herd with that small little satellite and, you know, we'll wait for a different one.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Good times.
All right, Randy and Candy. I think it's really been, I'm glad you took the time out of your hunt to come by and share Ladies Hunting Camp and share your experience here in Wyoming. And I hope you come back soon.
Absolutely.
Hope to, that's for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.